I love talking about the Brooklyn Nets. They're my favorite team. So whenever they come up, I like to talk about the Brooklyn Nets. They beat the Clippers 124-120. And was this a finals preview? Because to me, I think it was. And I think this was a statement win for the Nets. They won this game and showed the entire world why they're the team to beat. And people should stop overreacting to them. I know against any other teams, like the Wizards, they were bad, right? But look, against 500 teams, they're 10th in defensive rating in the NBA. They have a 9-3 record against 500 teams, and that's one of the best records in the league, if not the best in the league. The Nets are 7-2 when Harden plays. And when you see the Nets right now, when they struggle against teams like Washington, they struggle more so because they play down a competition. They're not taking them seriously. If they took every team seriously like they played against the Clippers, the Nets would be dominant. Nobody would have a chance. I think they play up to the competition and they play down to their competition, and that's why the scoring totals have been really high. But they mesh well. When the trade happened, I said that Harden was going to be the point guard, Kyrie was going to be the 2, and KD was going to do his thing. And so far, Harden has been the point guard. He's been averaging 10-plus assists almost every game with the Nets, and he's been balling. And I said it. What did I tell you, Riv? I said, look, he's going to do it. He's going to switch up his game. You didn't want to believe it.
Had 14 assists against the Clippers.
Yeah, I said he was going to switch up his game. You didn't want to believe it. And even when he plays off ball, he's good in that too. He does so many things, and he's been a great defender for the Nets as well, something that he gets knocked for a lot. I mean, for me, without a doubt, the Nets are legit. They're a legit team. And against the Clippers, their win against them proved to me that nobody should overreact over their losses to sub-500 teams. They should just react to their wins against teams like the Clippers and other teams that are good as well.
I do believe this was definitely a finals preview. And when you watched the game, you definitely felt like it was a playoff atmosphere game. You saw a lot in that game. You saw on both ends, defensively, both teams showed that they can crank it down defensively and get stops. Brooklyn, in the second half, you saw them get back in the game, get stops. And then the Clippers, you saw in the fourth quarter, I think like 5 minutes left, you saw them crank it down and get stops and get back in the game. I agree with you to some extent. I do think wins against the Bucks, against this team, should be the wins that we should be talking about, not loss. I mean, Washington was more of a how they blew the lead, just a collapse. The Cleveland games, those were just they was figuring it out still.
I feel like Cleveland wanted it more.
Yeah, a Colin Sexton explosion. That's not going to happen like that. But, but I think this was definitely a statement win. I do think both teams showed that they're really cream of the crop and they're the top 3 teams in the league. I want to praise James Harden though. He at first in the fourth quarter he did kind of look a little timid. He made some bad mistakes a little late, but overall he played well defensively. I think all guys on the defensive end was great. Mm-hmm. Kawhi, Paul George, KD, James Harden. I do want to say though, no Pat Bev, Nicholas Batum really got exposed in that fourth quarter. I mean, offensively he did good, but with 3 minutes left in the game, I think they scored 15 straight points. They was just going hunting for Nicholas Batum. I mean, Kyrie had fun, Harden had fun, Kevin Durant had fun.
I mean, they all scored over 20.
Yeah, so it was just in the fourth, Batum is going to be a problem. I think when Pat Bev, plays, they're not going to play him late in the fourth against this team. But I do think this game was definitely a statement win for the Nets that showed that defensively, same with the Bucks, defensively they can crank it when they need to. And the Clippers, for them, this was also, I feel like this was a statement for them too because they can score offensively with the Nets. And I always thought the Clippers was going to be one of the Nets' biggest challenges.
Yeah, and I agree with you, what you just said with the Clippers. I got them winning the finals.
You did last year too.
Clippers winning it all. So when I was watching, I watched the second half. I didn't catch the first half. I would say it was a playoff atmosphere because a game like that, you got to realize from Brooklyn's standpoint, big their big 3, they're probably saying, seeing what everybody's saying about them, how they played recent games. They're like, you know what, this is the team we got to beat. Cleveland didn't matter. Washington didn't matter. If we're gonna go out and make a statement to prove we're legit, we got to win this game. And I think what River was saying, how the Clippers started breaking down on defense. I think that's the epitome of the Clippers is getting a lead, playing really well in the first half, and then defensive breakdowns and just thinking they just coast. They don't keep the foot on the pedal. So I do think it was a playoff atmosphere, and I do think we will both of these teams, I feel like should make it, and if we see them again, I got Clippers in 6, man.
I do think these two teams.
Whoa.
Oh wow.
Clippers in 6.
I'm not saying nothing. I do think though these two teams and the Lakers, I think they're above the league.
Yeah,
I think it's those
100%.
3 teams, and then the rest of the league you can pick and choose. You can have the tier 2 teams like Boston, the Bucks.
We did see
whatever.
Montrezl Harrell get exposed last night against the Nuggets, though.
Well, he's gonna get exposed by them.
Just how he got exposed in the playoffs last year against the Nuggets.
We did see,
which is crazy. The same
He's
team
not a
exposed.
good defender.
What was interesting to me last night is Serge Ibaka barely played in the fourth quarter, and the Clippers decided to go small ball with the Nets, and I think that's something that's going to benefit them, that they are able to go small ball with the Nets when Nets play Jeff Green at the 5. So I think that's going to be an interesting series for them, but I definitely like the game.
And I also would say Patrick Beverley, like obviously he's not like offensively like a threat, but I do think his defensive presence, like someone to guard up on Kyrie, like man to man, like that also.
Yeah, he was missed.
That definitely does, I think, bring a difference to the game when he scores 40 points,
Yeah, for me, I think right now the Nets are just going to get better. I was talking to Jack about this. I think Iman Shumpert is available to play tonight against the
Today's
Raptors.
Friday, right?
Yeah, they said that he is. Yeah, he came back with the team.
He's going to be huge for the Nets.
And that's a big thing I've been seeing on like the Nets Twitter community is, does Iman Shumpert start for defensive purposes?
See, this is what I'd say with that. I don't think he starts because I think Harris's spacing is needed.
No, he has to start. Harris has to start.
Harris's spacing is needed, even though he's the worst defender on the Nets that plays a lot of minutes by far. No, the Nets, there's a graph for that. There's a graph for like defensive points added or like defensive points stopped, and Harris is like
Jeff
I
Green
think that's just on who he's guarding, though. I think Kyrie is a much worse defender than Joe Harris.
I don't think so.
I mean, Joe Harris is guarding the 3, right?
I think
He's usually guarding the 3 of the 4.
I
don't think he's fast enough to guard.
I personally feel like Kyrie Irving, when he wants to lock in, of course his height limits him and his strength too, but when he wants to lock in, he can move his feet pretty well. He locked in against the Clippers late in that game, and he was good.
I don't know about that.
I think so, but this thing about the Nets.
Who did he really lock up on? Like Reggie Jackson?
I mean, there was some possessions he was on Paul George. He did a pretty good job.
I mean, I know Harden was.
I mean, he did a great job.
Harden was keeping up his own with Kawhi.
And Serge. He wasn't letting Serge get anything. For me, I just feel like when the Nets get Iman, I think the closing lineup should be Iman, Kyrie, Durant, Green, and Harden. That should be the closing lineup.
I think it depends on who they play, though. I think you have to have Harris out there. Just his shooting is just.
I know he's such a great shooter, but
then again,
Kyrie, Harden, and KD make up for that.
Do you need shooting when you have those 3 guys?
In a sense, it depends. It really depends
because they're all shooters.
Yeah, it depends. I don't even know.
And like Iman Shumpert, like it's not his game, but if he's open, he could make it. Like he could shoot the ball like at a decent percentage. Like he's not the best 3-point shooter.
This the thing is that the Nets are going to get Iman. They're getting him back tonight, and they're still going to get a rim protector. I'm 100%.
Like who do you think they're gonna get?
I'm 100% certain they'll get a rim protector. I'm 60% certain that rim protector will be JaVale McGee, and I say there's like a 20% chance it's Andre Drummond, and he gets bought out.
Do you think that letting go of Jarrett Allen was worth it?
Yes.
Like
for Harden.
Wait, better question. Do you believe Drummond is going to take that much of a pay cut to play with you guys?
No.
Hold up. If he gets bought out by the Cavs, that means he's gonna have like $20 million for the year.
Yeah, but you think he's willing to sit there and be like, all right, I'm gonna sign this 1 year, like $2 million contract?
I'm gonna sign this 1 year, half a season deal with the Nets to win a championship? Yeah, I think he will.
Personally, I mean, his contract right now is like
big. It's a lot, but if he gets bought out, do you think the Cavs have that?
Cleveland
money.
has been talking about trading him. They haven't been talking about buying him.
They want to trade him.
Executives are saying his value is a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, because he's only really been for like rebounding the past couple of years.
Yeah, but
he's the best rebounder in the league right now.
I think this year defensively though, he's been really good.
I don't think that's why his value is that. I think his value is that because he's a rental for any team that's going to trade for him.
Because he's been being shopped around the last couple of years.
For me, I mean, I think a team that should get him is Boston. They got the trade exception,
Boston fans want
and they
him.
need a big. So Andre Drummond has been linked to the Celtics for a long time. Mm-hmm. But if he does get bought out, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't go to Brooklyn, especially after he just got paid because of the buyout, and you would get to win a championship But two names I'd keep in mind are JaVale McGee. Of course, he's a name that's been floating around. And don't sleep on Bismack Biyombo. I know he's not a big name.
He's been playing good for the Hornets.
Yeah,
he's been playing his role, I would say.
Embiid is going to destroy him.
He's 6'8",
Yes, I would
6'9",
totally agree with that.
But he can, he can block some shots. He's athletic, and he can keep up with some guards on the perimeter. He's not that slow.
I think your small ball lineup is perfect, honestly.
I think they're still going to get rim protector.
Yeah. I mean,
I do think if the Nets somehow could have kept Jared Allen, I do think nobody would have. It wouldn't even.
That's the thing. The thing about it is
he's a rim protector.
I like Jared Allen. The thing about it is that I think Nets fans, their perspective and what they saw with their eyes was very jaded because they have an emotional attachment to Jared Allen and guys like Karis LeVert. See, I'm a new coming Nets fan, right?
Okay,
so
you're a bandwagon.
I'm looking.
Aren't you a Knicks fan?
I'm looking at everything from a analysis standpoint and looking at it. The graph that I saw in terms of the Nets who added the most offensive points added and defensive points allowed.
Are you talking about offensive real plus minus?
Nah, it's another graph. I could find it on Twitter. But DeAndre Jordan is higher up than Jared Allen in terms of points saved on defense. But yet the narrative amongst Nets fans are like Jared Allen was a way better defender. I think that Jared Allen is a good defender, and missing him was, of course, a loss.
I would say he's a better rim protector.
But when you talk about the trade between the Nets, I mean, the Nets gave up Jared Allen, Taurean Prince, and Karis LeVert for James Harden. And let's just be honest about this trade. Karis LeVert, we found out, had a tumor.
Yeah,
so
he almost died.
Yeah, so if he probably, if they found that out any point in the season for the Nets, he was going to sit out regardless for the year.
Quick question.
The Nets really traded, the Nets really traded Harden. The Nets really traded Prince and Allen for Harden, if we're being honest.
Quick question. If Dinwiddie doesn't get hurt, would he have got traded before LeVert?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think LeVert had that value.
I think
because he's a long-term guy too. His contract is like for 3-4 years.
I do like that you asked that question because I really do think that if he didn't get that knee injury, right? If he didn't get that knee injury, I do think teams would have been saying we want him over LeVert.
And that's the thing.
Dinwiddie's probably gonna walk this year.
And that's
think so?
It's just last year's contract.
And that's the thing though, is that at first they were saying the Nets had to give up Allen, LeVert, and Dinwiddie plus Prince. You just gave up Allen and Prince basically because LeVert is going to be out for the year most likely. So they weren't going to have him regardless. And even if he did play, he didn't have any long-term value because he probably could have got seriously impacted
injured,
by not knowing that injury later on. So Allen is a great guy, but this is going to sound really disrespectful, but guys like Jared Allen grow on trees. I'm sorry to say that.
That's not disrespectful.
On the center position is a really undervalued position in the NBA. I think the center position in the NBA now is like the running back position in the NFL. You can find centers that can do what Jared Allen can do. It's not that hard. You can't find guys like James Harden anywhere. You got to make that trade 10 times out of 10. It was no debate for me.
Would you say that the Nets are now like win mode now?
Yes, no doubt about it. They're going to do whatever it takes. And I think this year is just getting everything started because next year, the guys that are going to be willing to go to Brooklyn for cheap is going to be a long list of guys that are going to be helpful as well. We saw the same thing with Golden State the second year with Kevin Durant, with guys coming there, and with Cleveland when LeBron went to Cleveland.
Got to win.
And when LeBron went to Miami, you saw Shane Battier go, Ray Allen go. They got depth. The same thing is going to happen with the Nets next season.
But like Riv just said, all those guys that you named who went and joined those players, they joined them after
except Miami.
Yeah, Miami lost before
Golden State, Cleveland. You got to win.
It just depends on how you play because I think right now the Nets, when Kyrie, Harden, and KD, when we see them on primetime, they look like they have a lot of fun playing together.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think the one big thing, like the biggest piece of them three is Kyrie kind of like being available and playing. And I do think since coming back from the little hiatus, it looks like he's having fun playing basketball again and like wanting to go and play.
I mean, Kyrie's having a career year. Harden is having his best year in terms of assisting since his 2016 season, and Kevin Durant is doing what Kevin Durant does off of Achilles.
Literally.
So
I remember you said he wouldn't be a top 5 player after the Achilles.
No, I said
you
it's
said
a
that.
wait and see. I said it's a wait and see. You guys can pull up the podcast clips. Nobody's hiding from nothing.
KD is the best scorer.
But all
in
I
the
know
league.
is that I bought a Kyrie jersey when he dropped 39 on the Clippers. It's coming today. It's supposed to be coming today. My Harden jersey is going to come soon because they're trying to delay my order until next month. I'm going to order another Harden jersey. I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to order a Kevin Durant jersey. And, man, y'all better hope PJ Tucker doesn't come because I'm going to order that too.
Nobody's worried about him.
But all I know is, look, I think the Nets are the team to beat, and I think there is no chance, barring injury, that this team does not go to the finals, like at all. I don't think any team in the East can beat them.
I would say about the Clippers is like they're gonna need their 2 guys to show up again, like LeBron and AD. But I don't know, man. I think Clippers got better.
The Lakers.
No, I think the Clippers got better than they did last year. So if they could figure it out, I feel like, going back to saying like late games, their defense breaks down. And if you kind of look back to last season when you saw them play the Mavs, they had so many leads, blew those leads when they played the Nuggets. They were up like 20 points against the Nuggets, I think, in the fourth quarter in that game 7 and blew it. So I think if they kind of figure it out defensively, late game and keeping those leads, I think
people thought when Doc Rivers got fired and Tyronn Lue came in that he was going to make a big difference, and he's shown that he's made a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
Ty Lue was needed for the culture there.
Yeah, but I will say Doc Rivers is putting it on in Philly right now.
He's doing his thing.
Yeah, it was a good move for both. Yeah, definitely
absolutely.
a good move for both.
Yeah, no, the Nets are definitely the team to beat, though. I mean,
in the East, I would say.
I like I tell people all the time, I didn't see anybody just match up purposes. I didn't see anybody outside the Bucks that can match up with them position to position. So I definitely do agree. I think Boston can, but I think they're just too young right now to really bang with the Nets. I think Milwaukee can match up, but like I said, Giannis' jump shot is going to be a game changer. I mean, they played, but just in the playoffs, it's going to be easier to do that. But like I said, teams like I remember I was talking to a Nets fan. I'm not going to say his name on the podcast, but I was talking to a Nets fan.
I think I know who.
It was 2. I was talking to them, and they were scared of teams like Indiana and Philly, and I was just sitting there like, why on earth would you be scared of the Pacers? Philly, Embiid is dominant, but they still have Ben Simmons.
The Pacers,
and I've said the Pacers. I can't get that through my head. Why you're scared of?
This the thing is that
makes no sense.
When we watched the Nets face Boston earlier this year,
they blew them out.
One of the first games of the year, Kevin Durant locked up Jason Tatum
easily.
Like he put him in jail.
Yeah.
So I think that can happen again. People forget Kevin Durant's an elite defender as well.
No, he definitely
wants to be.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Once their defense starts clicking, it's going to be over. And this is my final point. Brooklyn's big 3 is working out better than everybody expected, especially when they face the better teams.
I feel like it's working out to what, like, I don't know, like people did not like the trade, but I feel like if you like the trade, it's kind of working out to exactly how you thought it was.
Yeah. The stats are nice, the wins are good. They just gotta do what they do in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Still a couple. You still got the narratives on Harden. You still got the narrative on Kyrie. I don't think KD has a narrative anymore other than he's a snake. So that's not. That's not really anything.
Burner accounts.
Yeah, but so they just got to do it in the playoffs. And once they do it in the playoffs, then Harden will finally be a winner instead of a loser.
I mean, he's a winner now in my eyes.
Well, if he doesn't win a ring with this team,
he's gonna win a ring with this team. He might win 2.
I think
I can see 2. I can see 0.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Can see 2.
I can see it going either way.
I mean, I know he's gonna win, man, because he's been a winner.
So when he doesn't win,
if he doesn't win, what are you gonna say?
Don't ever speak to me ever again about James Harden.
That's not gonna happen. Look, for football, if you watch this podcast, you know that I've been on the Bucks bandwagon all year. Look, my team for basketball is the Nets, and you're gonna see what's gonna happen this year. Everything that I'm saying from this point to the end is religion.
So you think that every bandwagon you hop on, they just win a ring?
Everything I say about a team that I'm 100% backing is gospel. So right now, what I'm saying about the Nets is gonna happen. What I said about the Bucks all year, you
said what a lot of people said though. So it's like, come
not
on.
with the Bucks, not with the Bucks.
And he just said before the podcast that he was a Chiefs fan last year.
He's I'm not gonna expose him, but he has a lot of bad takes and a lot of wrongs. But I ain't gonna say no. I'm gonna let him have his little flowers here.
I'm only wrong when I purposely am wrong.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
know.
because
okay.
yeah.
It's not because you are
It's
wrong.
like facing a little kid in Madden. I only let you win when
Yeah, because
when
I
feel
let
bad.
you win. Like
Yeah.
I'm wrong because I let myself be wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you think,
That's
right?
how it is.
Yeah.